Good evening. Welcome to the farm. I'm Joe with Youngblood Family Farm. Um, Done a lot of chores recently and have shared um, different areas of the veggie garden. And so I thought I would actually give you guys a short tour and show you what's growing during the 2017 season. So come on along, we're going to see what's growing. So thanks for coming along, and as I go through this tour, forgive me if I go a little fast, but I want to make sure that I can cover all this front garden without taking too much time. I ramble on a lot. So what you see here is, if you look straight down this row, we have several rhubarb plants, and some of them come up in the spring and they just kind of slowly die back as the season progresses. And I mean, it's July 10th, so you can't expect too much out of rhubarb this time of year. The asparagus has they're ferned out, and they're just collecting rays right now. These are Martha Washingtons. I think it's Martha Washington, maybe Mary, I don't really know. And they're seedy, so they're predominantly female, and they produce a lot of seeds, and it's good if you're collecting them. Outside here, you can't hardly see them, but I've got some new asparagus growing in here, and I've collected seed, and I've got some of those Washington ones. Right there, you see some of those some okra, them outside the fence. Here is my little strawberry patch I put up recently on a video, and you can see it, they're already starting to bounce back. We had about a half an inch of rain last night, and that's half an inch of rain is good rain. But they've bounced back. You could already see they're greening up, and we've got a few flowers already starting to. So we'll have to get out and pull flowers. These two rows right here, those are Ozark Beauty. Those are everbearings. Those June bearings, you get a lot at one time and then they're gone. Along the fence here, you can see some sweet peas, just some sugar snap peas, and my daughter planted those, and I told her she can have the first, and they're just about ready to start filling the table. Pretty soon our grocery bill gets to be reduced, and that's fun. Continuing down this way, you've seen me talk about my little cabbage patch, and they're full. I probably planted this too tight, but nonetheless, it's a learning curve, and there's not much I can do about it now. And so that's our cabbage patch. Right over in here, I've planted a second planting cabbage. I'll probably plant another planting here in another couple weeks, just to make sure we get through the end of the season. All along here, you can see I have cucumbers, and then you can see a break right about in here, and then the rest of the row was planted about 3 weeks later, and those are going to be cucumbers too. And they'll climb the fence, and trellising is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Right here I have a row of about 10 or so broccoli, and those are a limba broccoli, an older variety, and they seem to be doing well. We got a little bit of wilt. There is some chewing going on, but not too bad. This row here is a super broccoli, and that's a hybrid, and without a doubt the hybrid is more resistant to the worm activity and the eating. Growth wise, I don't see a lot of difference in growth, but resistance to the bugs and the eating, I do see a little bit of difference. Not substantial though. Cauliflower, and it looks good. they're starting to set on, and that's what we like to see. Um, you'll see a lot of um, mounds of zucchini everywhere, and we'll do everything under the sun with zucchini. And honestly, we probably give more away than we consume. Um, so we see some zucchini. This row was, you can see the yellow flowering, that's broccoli rabe, and basically by the time I planted all my spinaches, and there's all sorts of greens in there, but by the time I planted them, it was already too hot, and so we've got a little eating out of it, and we'll wait a few more, maybe another month, and we'll turn it under, and we'll replant that for a little fall um, greens. Um, right here we start out with radishes. We consume a lot of radishes here. My wife will cook those with a roast, and those will substitute for potatoes, and that seems to work out well for us. And you can see that we've got 50 some Roma tomatoes out there, and that'll be all our spaghetti sauce and pizza sauce and tomato soup and whole tomatoes and you name it. Lots of tomatoes. Um, right over here, this is, you see me talk about my bunching onions, um, and great, just add a little bit of flavor. This is horseradish. I thought horseradish would be a great idea. It is if you never want it to go away, but if you want some kick, horseradish root would be the key. These right here, that's a weed, it's lamb's quarter. We pull them up, give them to the birds, and don't make too much fuss out of it. More rhubarb, and I can see that some of it's going to seed. Most of my rhubarb I started from seed, I didn't start from splits, and so that's not too big of a deal. A few potatoes. I don't really care to plant potatoes much, but the kids wanted to do it, so I put a little row of potatoes in here. As we're going along, the weeding crew came out today and they worked on these onions, and I don't know, you're probably looking at about 400 onions or so, and they're doing well. First time we've ever placed them in this spot in the garden. You can see that I've done a lot of mulching this year, and right now we're on mostly maple leaves, and I don't know, jury's still out on those. Continuing on, jury's still out on all this straw mulch. Growing a lot of wheat right now in here, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm not gonna till it under. I'm not gonna worry about it. I figure if it grows, it grows. Green beans, lots of green beans. Green beans are great gifts. They're great food. They're great storage. This first little bunch here, right about to my fingertip there, those are actually seed that I'd saved and I've had in storage since 2012, and they actually flowered faster. Beans are already about 1 inch long, and they're doing well. So right about here, the rest of the row, those are a blue lake bush, and they look fantastic too. I just run 2 rows about 10 inches apart, and they've completely filled it. And so continuing the step, see lots of zucchini, every once in a while you'll find some dill. Once you start with dill, you don't worry about planting it again. It won't go away. So right here we've got peppers, and trying to find my marker, and that row is sweet peppers, and there's probably a dozen sweet peppers. Right up here, those are all variety of hot peppers. In the past, I've had difficulty growing peppers, so they'll come on in late August and September as it starts cooling down in October, and then, well, you know, then it's time to turn the garden under. So I just planted big. I figured if I can't grow them, then we'll plant them big. Stepping over once again. We have more radishes. Radish greens are good. Chickens like them, and a lot of people actually will use the radishes as a cover crop. So, you know, whatever you don't consume, make great compost. You see a small row of carrots. Whatever we don't eat, usually will go into soups or we'll use it for broths. A couple of stray tomatoes. You know, you always get a couple stray ones. They're volunteers, and you got to put them in a row. Second planting of green beans, and then right over here is a third planting of green beans, and those are mostly just be seed stock. And so, and like I said, this row and this row are all seed from that 2012 season. And so let's face it, green beans that grow after 5 years of just storage in the barn, that's a seed that you want to keep around, folks. Come down to this end, and you could see we got more okra, and okra is a tough thing to be growing in Michigan, but it's well worth your time if you can get it. Right out here we got some kale, and once that kale takes, leave it alone. It'll be there for seasons if you let it. We got a few more tomato plants here. Those are different variety. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they are not Romas. And so that's the front veggie garden, guys. So we do have a squash patch that you guys saw, the pumpkin patch. You know, some fruits, but this is my part-time job. So I've shared it in video, I've shared it in song. But this is our garden, and today's July 10th, and we'll see what it looks like once it starts producing in another few weeks or a month. So thanks for coming along and sharing your time with me. Bye now.